Hi there, and welcome back to the Coaching Support Summit, where we are sharing tools and tips from different coaching experts around the country and around the world. My next episode is with Mary McHugh, and Mary is a psychotherapist, and we are going to have a conversation this morning about all things psychotherapy, and Mary's also going to introduce mindfulness to us. So on that note, you're very welcome, Mary.
Thanks very much, Dolores, and really great to be here with you.
It's great to have you, and you're a West of Ireland woman like myself, so up the West
I
this
am.
morning.
Yes, the Wild West.
The Wild West. Mary, can you talk us through, I suppose, being a psychotherapist, and like myself, a therapist, I work a lot online. Can you talk to people on this episode about the importance, I suppose, firstly of speaking, and also how wonderful it is that we actually can do this, and the benefits for people to actually reach out to somebody online, somebody maybe that they don't know, but you can, maybe rest people's minds that it's okay to reach out online.
Yeah, so I suppose, Dolores, we go way back to 2000 and maybe 2010. I'm a therapist for many, many years, but in 2010, I suppose the internet was slowly starting to gain a little bit of memento. And I remember being on it one day, and I was on a Facebook page, and this page was to do with helping people who were suffering from depression or suicidal thoughts. And it had just been started, and I went into the page, and the person starting it was looking for somebody to help them out. So I thought, you know what, I'm a therapist, I can be a support. And that's really how it began. So that page it was nearly like a tsunami of messages came into that page. So there was an awful lot of people that were looking for support that weren't accessing it in the face-to-face realm.
And why was that, do you know? Or can you...
I suppose we found out really that maybe social anxiety was huge. You know, their anxiousness was just so huge. Phobias, they weren't able to leave the house. Physically, because of disability, because of circumstance, because maybe they were at home with children, and so there was a lot of physical reasons why they couldn't, and emotional reasons maybe why they couldn't. So that went on, and it really became very clear to me that there were people that weren't been met where they were. So from there, we decided, so myself and my colleague then, Danica Monk, who's a therapist as well, decided to come together and set a platform in place that would hold boundaries and keep it safe for people to come in and talk on a professional level, because we knew they needed that professional help, but weren't able to access it. So back in the day, we'd done it, before it was the norm to do it. So we were going against the grain, really. So I suppose in that we're actually one of the pioneers of online counselling, and have been doing it for, I suppose, 9 years, I think, come July. And once we started doing it, we really seen the huge benefits for the person receiving the counselling, and that we weren't seeing a huge difference really in actual face-to-face counselling as opposed to online. So the medium, it's all about the energy, I suppose. Yeah. And that brings me then to, I suppose, mindfulness, and where mindfulness for me, I always said I came into mindfulness backwards, because I no more wanted to be into the mindfulness side of things. I just couldn't sit. I was one of these people, I would call myself, I've always described myself as the butterfly. There's 100 things going, and I'm going from this branch to the next branch to the next branch. And to meditate, for me, I would often say it, I'd rather chew iron.
Yeah, a bit like myself at times.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, I've been brought back again and again and again to the world of mindfulness. And about 3 or 4 maybe years ago, maybe it's 4, I done a master's in mindfulness.
Okay.
well, yeah, up in UCD. So that then, I suppose I have to say, um, I came home
Mm-hmm.
doing that mindfulness because I was able to, it felt like my whole body, and I had done a lot of psychotherapy training, but my whole body was able to unfurl and to let go.
Mm.
And for the first time, really be. So learning how for the first time to be and what that entailed. That actually it doesn't entail everything being great and rosy in the garden. It definitely doesn't. Um, it's really about accepting things just as they are.
And that's
So
huge. I love that. Yeah, I think that mindfulness sometimes has been taken, um, it's been kind of nearly blown up into something
yeah,
huge that people can't even really get their heads around, which, as you say, at its essence, it's just being in the present moment. And that's what mindfulness is.
yeah, yeah, and being with the shit, being with
Yeah.
the good, the bad, and the awful. And right now it's being in the, I suppose, the unknown, and really being in it. So just noticing in my body where actually that's resonating. I suppose the vibration and the sensation in our bodies. So it's from that place, and I suppose in our online work and our online Facebook page that we felt we're not nurses or we're not doctors, but actually we have some experience that we can maybe give out there. And every morning at 9 o'clock, I'm actually doing a meditation of loving kindness because I feel for myself, I do it anyway. So it's really great to have people doing it with me. That the vibration of emitting that loving kindness out is doing our bit to, I suppose, the uncertainty, to wish everybody be happy and be well. We know that's not fully possible, but if we have that genuine wish in us, we're actually emitting that vibration out there. And a lot of science now is really coming to see that vibration is the way it goes. I see it in our online work, the vibration that goes on, and we're not in physical presence. We can be in different countries, but
Mm-hmm.
that vibration is actually, it's felt. And I can honestly say I really feel it in my work. And I know from the other therapists that work with me, that we all feel that. And we are sometimes blown away by the strength of that vibration that happens in the work. But it
That's
can only.
phenomenal.
Mm,
And I think, I speak a lot about with clients as well and I think that this could fit in with for people to liaise with yourselves is I tell people to grab a hook, find a hook,
yes,
to bring us up from the lower vibration. I don't even nearly have to say it like that, but it's just finding
okay,
something, finding a light at the end of the tunnel. But we
yeah,
need sometimes, in my opinion, some people do well from finding that something to hold on to. And I can see something like your meditation being that
mm,
something for people to hold on to that will raise their vibration, but they don't
yeah,
even have to know what it's doing because it
that's
will
right,
do the work anyway. If you're in
that's
such
right.
a bad place that you can't get your head around all these words or whatever
Mm,
vibrations, I think it's just that hook to actually just go along the journey until those energies open up, as you say, and
yeah,
our vibration is just lifted for us.
yeah, and sometimes as well, Dolores, um, that hook can be as simple as just the breath. You know, that's it. That's all I need. And for some people, that mightn't be great. Because the breath actually can send us into a panic if we focus on it. So it's that knowing what works for me and what
Yeah,
doesn't work for me. So for somebody else, it could be a sound, or it could be just focusing on an object, so using our senses, that lovely
mm.
saying, he needs to cop on and come to his senses. So
Mm.
using the senses, so the sense of sound, sight, taste, um, but but if you can, the breath is such an anchor to bring us into center, and just finding that breath and being with it in all that it is, and that knowing, I suppose, I just love, and I'm always repeating that, when times aren't so great, every breath I take is a breath through, because nothing ever stays the same. And,
How
and
true.
it's and it's to remember that the good doesn't stay the same. So we can have a really great day, but that doesn't stay. But neither does the bad. So every breath we take is a breath through that. And that's where mindfulness really plays a part in the staying with and the leaning into, because what happens to us as human beings, we have a tendency to resist and to push against. And as they say, whatever we resist persists, you know, so it
Yes.
stays. So if I can just accept, okay, so this is what's here. Right now I cannot change it. So can I just lean into it and just feel in my body where I'm feeling that? And to take it from there. So that's really where mindfulness and I suppose our online therapy work is just being with what is in the moment, and for the therapist to be that real witness while the client is there in that place of uncomfortableness or whatever it is, and that we touch in and move out and touch in and move out.
I love that. So you're creating the safe space for someone just to be present, and you're present. You're offering this wonderful space for them to be who they are right there with
As,
no,
as best as we can.
yeah.
You know,
And
so
how do you do this, Mary? Is it via something like this, or is it via phone, or?
yes, okay, so I have a really, I suppose, a great story into how we actually began. So there was a lady actually who, for whatever reasons was going on in her life, she was actually looking for a way out. So she had
Oh,
typed in, yeah, absolutely, so really difficult. She had typed in the word suicide, and actually that Facebook page came up. And over time, in our supporting, she asked, would I be her therapist? And she was in a country thousands of miles away from here. And my reaction was, no way. I'm not going to do therapy online. It's not ethical. It's not this, that, and the other. And there was no way. So it turned out that actually she was to get electric shock treatment with whatever in the psychiatric hospital. And she messaged and she said, you know, please, this was her last. So I said, we had nothing to lose. That's what I felt. So first, do no harm. So I thought, okay, we have nothing to lose here. So we set up a weekly call with boundaries, because this lady was actually in her bedroom. She didn't communicate with her husband, only through email, or her children. So she had herself locked away in complete isolation. We began our work together through type. So she would type and I would instantly reply. So there would be an hour and it would be just typing. It moved then very, very slowly over months to us both on the telephone. Okay. And then it moved where she could see my face, but she wasn't comfortable with me seeing her face. And then she became comfortable with being seen. So we were both then on video. And today she was on a huge amount of psychiatric medication. She's on zero medication today. She's working full time and she's engaging not only with her family but with her community. So it just was fabulous. And
wow.
yeah, so that really is a story that began my courage, I suppose, and desire to want to do this more and reach people who weren't being reached. So our motto is wherever you are, we are. And that's physically, geographically, and even financially. You know, we are not funded in any way by the government, but each one of our therapists, part of our agreement is that we give a certain amount of low cost sessions for people who may need it.
That's phenomenal, Mary, and that's a great story and well done.
Yeah.
What is your online service called that you're involved with?
Okay, so it's the Irish Online Counselling and Psychotherapy Service, or counsellingonline.ie, which might be easier for people to remember. So counsellingonline.ie.
And I'll put a link underneath the replay to this anyway,
Great.
sharing
Yeah,
with people.
great. And just to say as well, because of what's going on in the last 2 weeks, we're trying to be more present to people. So what we have is actually 9 o'clock in the morning. I do a meditation every morning at 9 o'clock. And every other day, we interview different people around different topics that might be of interest. So we're opening and keeping connection, because connection is important. And then at 3:30, two of our therapists comes on, Francis and Maeve, and they're just fabulous. So it's not pre-planned. They just come on and it's musings, so they just talk randomly about different things, and it finds its own way down the river of something significant that will be touched on. So it's just lovely. And that's the presence that we're trying to offer to people, just to say that we're actually here. We're not on the front line, but we're doing our little bit where we are.
Fantastic. My goodness, and you sure are. Can we touch again a little bit on the mindfulness topic?
Yes.
Is there any practice that you'd like to share with us? I'm maybe putting you on the spot, so if I am,
Not
I
at all.
apologize.
Yeah. No,
Is there
that's
anything that,
okay.
like, just something simple, like that hook maybe again I spoke about earlier, that you could maybe lead us on a little mindfulness practice that we could take away, so that we would have a tool that we can use
Absolutely.
anytime?
Yeah. So this is a tool, I
Thank you,
suppose,
Mary.
that I would use for people. I would say to people, even when you're back at work, you take a couple of minutes, say when you go to the toilet, and just wait there for another minute or two. And it is quite a simple. I'll say it simply, and it's the breathing space, but I suppose I've adapted it in a simpler format. Okay, so it is wherever you are right now, just checking with yourself. How am I? So just noticing right here, right now, how am I? So a way to find out how I am is to check physically. So starting from the top of the head, scanning the body all the way down, and just checking if I have any niggles, pains, aches. Am I hot or am I cold? Just how am I? And then shifting the focus to emotionally. So checking, what's my mood like today? So am I anxious or at ease, happy or sad? And again, being okay with whatever is, just allowing it to be as it is. And shifting the focus then to mentally. So mentally, how am I? Are the thoughts running and racing in my head? Or is there an at easeness? And again, being okay with what is. And bringing your attention now to the breath. So just noticing the mechanics of the breath as you breathe in. So as you're breathing in, feeling the stretch of the belly as you breathe in, and the falling away as you breathe out. So focusing on the breath as if this is your last ever breath. So being as intimate with the in-breath and the out-breath. And even in this short practice, the mind will wander. And just guiding it back gently to the breath. And expand your awareness now and check in again. How am I? So how am I now? Physically, just scanning the body from the top of the head down to the toes. And just noticing, not changing, just noticing. Physically, how am I? And emotionally, what's my mood like now? And mentally. And when you're ready, if you've closed your eyes, just begin to open the eyes. So that's something, I suppose, Dolores, that you can do very quickly if you're feeling stressed. So you come into the body and you check, how am I? Because that's something we don't do. We don't ever ask ourselves, but we're always asking other people, and how are you? But we never think to come home, to come here and see, how am I? Because the reality is, this is the person I'm going to be living with for the rest of my life. So maybe it'd be okay to ask me how I am. So to come in and check, do I need something to eat? Am I hungry? Do I need to go to the toilet? These very basic things that we put off. And we're actually, can I come back and check?
I love that, and I'm so relaxed after that. I was a little worried that my son was going to interrupt that, but luckily he just came into the room now.
Okay.
So I was trying to let that worry go even while we were doing that exercise.
There. And again, I suppose this is the thing, Dolores, we're doing live all the time.
Yeah.
And it is kind of, and I suppose that's, I'm able to do it because I've came to a place that I'm okay with whatever is. And whatever is. And if somebody comes in, I know I done a meditation the other morning and Millie barked and barked. Again, it was as it was.
Yeah. And that's probably one of the first times I have been not stressed as well, which is good, because I think, even these conversations are helping me a lot as well, expand, and you use that word, expand the awareness around, well, if he does walk in the middle of it, there's not anything I can do.
This is life.
But just try and say, be quiet. So it's dealing with it and leaning in to the situation we're in, and seeing how best we can be mindful of our reaction in this moment.
Yeah. And looking at, that's what's going on in our world today.
Yeah.
We don't have control.
No,
that's
exactly.
The thing. Things are outside of our control. So whoever walks into the room or makes a bang or a noise, that's outside of our control. But it is, can we go with it rather than putting up further anxiety, adding more to it? And that's what we have a habit of doing.
Absolutely.
Adding more on top of what's already the normal.
Oh, wonderful. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. I think it was good to do that on a Monday morning. I know we've both been busy already this morning.
Yes.
So it just shows, though, the power. It shows the power of just being in the moment, and how taking that, gosh, we were about maybe 3 or 4 minutes, can really open up our minds to just the magic that can happen when we do this kind of work.
That's right. Yeah. And even the simplicity, Dolores, of taking 1 minute and following, I am breathing in, I am breathing out, I am breathing in. And when I'm saying that, no two thoughts are coming in. I can only think one thought at a time.
Yeah.
So that brings in a focus. And it brings me then to a place of, I come into my being, and that can help me. Doesn't mean that we're flapping and we don't flap, like we're human beings. I have all the same feelings that everybody else has, and I can lose it the same as everybody else can. It doesn't mean that we're in any way different. It's just that, I suppose for me, I've become more accepting of life than I would have.
Lovely. Well, you have me all relaxed, Mary. Thank you very much for that. And thank you for letting us know about the services that you and your fellow therapists offer. So I am going to put a link below under the replay if people want to get in touch, and they'll get all the information where we're sending them. Is that right? To the meditation in the morning, and to where they can book a session should they wish to, or where they can go on.
www.counsellingonline.ie, and then you can click on the website. There will be a link into our Facebook page.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And on that wonderful calming note, Mary, is there anything you'd like to leave us with, or have we covered everything that you'd like to say this morning?
Just, I suppose, to accept things as they are. Don't add. I suppose, to give you a bit of humor, part of the mindfulness is based on Buddhism. And there are 4 noble truths. And the first truth is that life is suffering, that actually life is hard and it can be shit. And the word that they put on that is dukkha. And the second noble truth is that we as human beings have a habit of adding dukkha to dukkha. So I suppose my advice is step back from the dukkha. It is shit. Adding more to it isn't going to change it. And right now we're in this realm of things not being so great, but adding more anxiety on top of it. There's control the things we can, and that's myself. So come home to me, ground, breathe. And by doing that, actually, you're helping everybody else. And that's what we've been asked for in this crisis that's going on in our world. Come home, stay home. So come home to me. And from here is where we can do the best work. Everything else will take care of itself.
What a wonderful way to finish. Mary, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining us on the Coaching Support Summit and sharing your wonderful wisdom.
Thank you, Doris. Really great to be here. Thank you.